all esports, but what is something that players may not realize that they're doing wrong when VOD reviewing, and what would you suggest for them to do?
Well, I think Quinn mentioned it right there in that content piece, and it was having somebody else there with you when you do VOD review. A lot of times players are like, you know what, I really want to focus on the mistakes that I made. Let me go back and look at this VOD from X time to X time. But in reality, unless you have like different perspectives looking at the same thing with you, it can definitely impact whether or not it actually helps overall. So it really boils down to having somebody there with you, especially somebody that's knowledgeable of the game, understands, and may have a different point than you may think of at the time.
Having a partner with you is very important. It's especially important in our duos competition. So right now we're going to be focusing on some of the duos that we're excited to watch, and more importantly, looking at where they're going to be dropping, because of course there's so many elements that go into being a great player, but the drop spot tends to be one of the more important ones. So the first team that we're going to be looking at right now is Beast and Tao Tai Panda. And I mean, this team right here has been a consistent front runner in a lot of the competitions in the last chapter of the FNCS.
Well, it's no question that Sleepy Sound is one of the best POIs on the map. So for them to have this to them, not necessarily to themselves, but have this as an option is going to be super important. They've obviously spent the season prepping from this spot here, and coming back to it, I think they're definitely going to have a good chance here of doing well. Again, I believe this is one of the spots that is contested, so it's going to be pretty tough for them. However, we've seen a lot of teams this season win out of contested drop spots.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with the fact that there's 50 teams competing compared to the 33 from last chapter, and there's less POIs than we saw in the previous map, there's definitely going to be some contestation, as we love to say here on the FNCS broadcast. But earlier we talked a little bit about a team that we've typically seen in the FNCS. Now I want to talk about a team that we don't talk too much about, and it goes by Gosh and Sharp Takata. Tell me a little bit about this team and where we're going to be seeing them drop.
Yeah, so Gosh and Sharp are dropping on the southern part of the map in Condo Canyon, but
You got to break down these points, man.
in the early game, and they won't have to worry too much about Storm Surge later on in the further zone. So if they play their cards right, we could see them in the late game consistently.
Oh, without a doubt. And much like a pendulum swings, I'm going to go back to probably one of the most prestigious teams that we have. And in fact, they are 2/3 of the last two FNCS champions, Fabs and Snacky and Panda. I'm sure you have a lot to say about them.
Talented players, and they know exactly how to walk away on top. Season 8 FNCS.
But those right there were just the drop spots. What we're not focusing on are the fights that we're going to be seeing, because as we just said just a few moments ago, there is going to be a lot of drop spot fights right off the gate. So let's actually focus right now on the Cammy split, which is so hilarious to me, because obviously in Chapter 2 everyone heard everything about the Cammy split. We have a whole new map now, and somehow there is still a Cammy split. So let's look at that right now between Remy versus Nico Takata. Because as we just said,
the problem with these contests at split drops is that you have to take that engagement, because when you're doing a split drop, there's not as much loot as like a tilted towers, as a daily bugle. You really only have enough loot for one duo. So if you're contested in a split drop like Cammy split, you have to take that engagement, and one duo is going to come out on top.
Now I kind of want to break real quick and talk a little bit about something that we saw, oh gosh, I believe it was from Europe, where one team won off of a spot that was contested, and then the following team from that spot won as well, no longer being contested. So Panda, let's say that you're one of these teams and someone grabs a VR that's contesting your spot. Does a new team try and jump in there and contest them again, or does that team, like, do they stick to that new spot?
Yeah, but you're talking about Thomas HD and Tayson, and then Dino and Joe. That's what happened, right? Thomas HD, Tayson, decent. They lost first game, but then the next 2 games, that drop was in their favor, and then they walked away with the VR. Then right immediately after, Joe and Vino walk away with the VR as well. So it just shows that just because you go down early, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in a bad spot, right? On top of that, we're going to see a lot of changes like that, especially over the days. Because remember, while we're going through today, we're going to lose some teams here, but then more teams fill in tomorrow for the teams that have already qualified. So it's going to be interesting to see how these teams can kind of adjust to these map spots opening throughout the weekend. But it's going to be pretty exciting to say the least.
It's definitely going to be exciting, and we already talked about one split, but now I want to talk about another, and it's the llama split. That's going to be Elder versus G5RC. So Takata, tell me a little bit about the split that we're seeing here.
So this split does have that guaranteed llama. We saw some other very top-tier West duos like Wheels and Batman Booga making use of this split to get that llama every game, get that mobility with the chili chug splashes, and obviously get those materials quickly so you don't have to farm up as much and you can start rotating sooner. However, just like the previous split drop, if you're contested in a split, you're going to have to battle that opposing duo. So hopefully, I mean, they can play their cards right, whichever duo has practiced more, and we'll see who comes out on top.
I mean, we've just talked about so many different POIs on the map. I'm sure for people that are just joining us right now, they might be a little confused, but
so you
know
don't have
what?
to farm
We
up
have
as
so
much
many
and you can start
incredible
rotating
pros
sooner.
here at the
However,
NA West
just like
that we,
the
of
previous
course, had
split
to
drop,
pick
if you're
their brain.
contested
So
in a
let's see what
split,
they
you're going
have
to have
to
to
say
battle
about our
that
map
opposing
guys.
duo. So hopefully, I mean, they can play their cards right, whichever duo has practiced more, and we'll see who comes out on top.
On the map right now,
I mean, we've just talked about so many different POIs on the map. I'm sure for people that are just joining us right now, they might be a little confused, but you know what? We have so many incredible pros here at the NA West that we, of course, had to pick their brain. So let's see what they have to say about our map guys.
Bugle is probably the best spot on the map. There's Spider-Man there, and there's on the map. There's Spider-Man there, and there's like the most best spawns too.
Just because it has so many cool things with Spider-Man gauntlets, a lot more chest really, really
and farming ability there, so it's definitely one of the best spots on the map right now.
Tilted coming back is one of the best things
supply
that
drops
Fortnite
and like a bunch of entrance chests in the vault that they have. It is super good.
Daily Bugle is probably the best spot on the map. There's Spider-Man there, and there's like the most chest spawns too.
Just because it has so many like, Spider-Man gauntlets, they're really, really good right now.
Tilted Tower Lander really does make the game.
Tilted coming back is one of the best things that Fortnite could have done.
I think it's really cool it's coming back. Just get straight into the action.
I think the log jam is pretty good. It has a lot of really fast farming maps.
for NA West.
I think for players that are picking up new teammates, it's definitely different, right? I think it kind of plays into, hey, I'm not used to duos. Now I'm playing with a new person. So chemistry is everything. That's why I think teams like Snacky and Fabs who have played together in the past are definitely going to make a dent in these semifinals.
And Takata, real quick, is there anything that you want to see here in game number 1?
Oh, I want to see another solo clutch like we saw in the previous regions. We had Venno on Europe, Peterbot on NA East. So who's going to do it on NA West? That's what I'm waiting for.
I mean, we already saw it during the qualifiers, a lot of solo clutches there. So if there's any time to pull them out, it is right now, whereas a VR can just give you the ticket into the finals. But everyone, that's going to be it for us on the desk here. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us, but now it's time to hang out with 2 new cool dudes. It's Jacob and Clay.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And you are right, it is Jacob and me this time around. We get to bring the very first day of semifinals to everybody for NA West, and I am so excited after those 2 regions we just watched. Jacob, we're in for a treat.
Now, we're definitely in for a treat. Excuse me, but those 2 clutches that Kelly was talking about, I expect West. There's a lot more fighting that does go on in the later games, especially with how much is on the line. It's win and you're in. How exciting is that? So it's going to be a real treat to see how these players differ their strategies, especially in the early portions of the game. If it's not going your way, you might have no other choice to go for that victory royale in the end.
We'll have to see as these games are just about to get underway. I cannot wait for it.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot at stake in it. And I like the way you guys kind of went with the favorites, Fabs and Snacky. And it's a little bit of a safe pick, I may say, but the battle bus is ready. We can see how safe that game is because game number 1 is on our hands.
Game number 1 in NA West semifinals. Last opportunity for some of these players this week to make it into that finals. This is just the first day. We've got 2 more after this, but getting it out of the way today would be amazing. It would be a weight lifted off of everyone's shoulder. We'll see as UA, Bumboy, are they going to be part of that elite squad going all the way through to the finals, or are they going to go down early as we swap over? A team very contested, and Jacob, it's not looking good on either front.
It's almost interesting to see, you know, what was going to be one of our contested drops on that llama split, and a team already changing up the game plans. It could be nerves, but it could be brains as well. Not wanting to kind of risk it all in that 50-50. This is a marathon. It's not a race, and there's so many ways to qualify. You don't want to force yourself in a bad position early on. And already another team, or 2 teams, I should say, choosing to kind of concede that drop spot. They realize there's so much on the line, but this is kind of usual. This is like the classic when it comes to NA West. Slow gameplay to start us off.
Get a chance to see what they're grabbing out of one of these bolts. Really good for this early game portion, right? You get shields, you get those ARs, you get sniper rifles as well. And, oh, look at that legendary and epic loot coming through. But look, unfortunately, Kompalomp and Algalore looking pretty weak over at Chonker Speedway. We saw them in the qualifiers fight here often, every single match. It seems like that kit will be found for Kompalomp there. Aguilar will be able to heal up to almost full HP. Has a lot of extra minis in this, using just to, it was just a couple. I thought it was going to be a couple stacks there, and they were choosing not to take it there, but no. Yeah. Good min-maxing from him.
This might be a little bit blessing in disguise, though, even though it doesn't look like they're going to back down of Chonker Speedway just yet. Getting tagged too early might make you play a little slave. And when there's more than one team fighting around, playing a little slave, having to heal up might be that blessing. You don't want that chaos to go ahead and ensue too quickly, because it's 5 games on our hands playing. That's something we were kind of messaging each other back and forth instead of 6. So it's very, very easy to put yourself in a hole, get lost in the sauce, and forget that there's one less game to try and qualify. So that's something I'm going to really kind of play into towards the later half, maybe games number 3, games number 4, and then definitely in that 5th and final game.
Fabs and Snacky completely uncontested Greasy Grove, and like Kelly said in the recap, they have more FNCS final appearances than any other duo in semis. They've been to the final 17 times.
That's dominant. That's consistency. And I can see why 3 of our analysts and casters kind of picked Fabs and Snacky, but Scizor, one of those players, his teammate is already going to go down. The aggression from, it might have been Russo and his teammate, Winner, I do believe, trying to go ahead and finish off these eliminations. These are 2 players as well. Finished 15th, and I do believe 10th in 2 different qualifiers, barely missing the gap, but with those early eliminations, probably going to be looking for the second one. This is a great way to start off your semifinals.
And again, a reminder, there's 2 different stories being played out at this exact same time. It is both about winning the game and making sure that if you don't win the game, you get a lot of points. But CZR, oh, it's gonna take a lot of damage, but puts a good amount back onto Russo. Then Russo gonna go down. What, a clutch play almost coming through, but Winter going to be there to clutch up for the team.
Yeah, these guys, like I said, 2 different finals appearances in qualifier number 1 and number 2. For them, those are a little bit of learning experiences to go ahead and make the semifinals theirs. Like Clay said, multiple chances to get into that grand finals and punch your ticket. But Kaizen and Chicken with the high ground, you got to imagine, very, very light on surge tags, and they go and looks like they're trying to form a sandwich. This could be a great opportunity to at least get the damage you're looking for, or take these players out altogether.
Hound gonna be caught off guard. Chicken trying to put some shots down with that MK7. Not able to connect any, but they've got him pinched perfectly. They gotta be careful to look at another duo coming from behind them as well. If they find another duo behind that duo, and Prism is gonna recognize that, they're gonna go aggressive onto Chicken, but Chicken's gonna cut that line just a little bit there. Shots will come through. Nice connection there, 71 damage. Chicken is doing a great job at holding him off as a solo. That's gonna be good damage. His teammate came through, taking down Prism. Now only Hound remaining. They come together perfectly, and just look at that chemistry.
Yep, back-to-back eliminations, taking a share of first place for now, though. It is still very, very early on. But for a second there, you can see why their opposition tried to swarm on that fight. They had them separated. There was a lot of space between the 2, but like you said, Chicken holding on to that high ground, creating separation, and buying his teammate time to go over and make the play. And it looks like another big battle down towards this split as Nick Jaw Combat on screen. It looks like they're going to try to chase down Combat. Don't know where that first elimination went, but they're surely trying to grab this second one as they continue to hold on to that high ground. Xeno taking a little bit too much damage, but Combat is going to go down regardless. And that's going to be another elimination going down here on West.
And West is play a little bit more aggressive than we normally see, right? I like it. I like this. It sets the pace and the tone for the rest of the lobby, because here's the thing about West. I mean, if we look back at the reboot rounds as well, right, back from previous seasons, that first game was always still a little bit more aggressive than the rest, because everyone knows, hey, if I win, I'm good. All I got to do is win. So they can play this like they normally would play any other tournament in opens and round number 1 qualifiers, right, and semifinals. Normally you have to play a little bit more cautious. You're caring about that 6 games, but right now it's game to game to game. That's what you're thinking about. These 5 games are each individually separate but also tied together, so it's unlike anything we've ever seen. And I'm really loving the pace of West aesthetic.
Yeah, this is where you take your own destiny in your own hands, and there's many ways to do that here, but Elder and Statics, they're going to try to do it by getting this elimination, put themselves up in a great position, not having to worry about that storm surge, but a little bit of high ground, multiple players towards the outside that could affect this fight or try to get some tags of their own. That's why these players, they're trying to box up, they're trying to bait them in, play as safe as possible. And if you look at a lot of the resources, they have mats, yes, but they don't have a ton of that shotgun ammo to go ahead and have a continued fight.
And with ammo, out of all the ones that is concerning, I think, to lose the most, it's the shotgun, right?
Yep.
Like, you run out of AR ammo, that's fine. You run out of SMG ammo, that's fine. Shotgun ammo, there's not a lot you could do. You've got the harpoon, which is my favorite weapon in the entire game, and you can use it effectively like a shotgun. But this season with the shotgun like the heavy and how much damage it does, it's just really outmatched. So they really got to play it carefully. They don't want to be too aggressive. And even then, like, you see him single firing these MK7s, but 160 ammo on MK7, that's still concerning as well. So aggression is going to come through. The edit down from Kui will be enough, but his teammate not there. No, as I say that, his teammate right back, and unfortunately the shot's just not connecting in their favor.
I love what Elder was doing, hiding in that cone, waiting for that perfect opportunity for them to get lost in the sauce on a couple of targets, but it might be a decision they can soon regret, as the shield is going to get dropped off, but that's not going to deter Elder from this exchange. But
They're disengaging here, right? They don't have enough to keep going, but they also don't really have enough to disengage. They're really gonna have to get lucky with their loot because they are so far on the outside of the map. Everything there is going to be looted. Maybe they can grab some stuff from Camp Cuddle, maybe move their way over to Covert Cavern, as we're gonna see where the second zone goes. No, they're not gonna be able to contest that, so they're running out of options.
Yeah, definitely running out of options. I think they're going to have to make the decision now. Or another option could be later on in the game trying to find a solo player, maybe look up a refresh opportunity. But we talked about 116. Elder doesn't even have a full clip in his NK7. So when it comes to that far range, he's not going to have it on him. Kind of hoping for his teammates, is Sharp and Gosh. I would say I don't know too much about this duo, but when you kind of have us as casters not knowing too much about a duo, that's a perfect opportunity for this duo to let the world know who they are.
Exactly. I think that's one of the best things, like you mentioned, about this format that you're able to do, right? You can come out, win a game, make it all the way to finals, which you previously haven't been able to do before because of an entirely new format and a new chapter that rewards different types of play styles. So I'm very excited to keep our eyes on Sharp and Gosh as we move over Tao Tai and Beast. Normally Tao Tai playing with wheels, but they're swapping it up a little bit. Tao Tai's been around West for finals, but the execution needs to be there. And talking about a duo that's been around for a very long time, it's gonna be Landjock and Punisher.
Yeah, you know, making my debut in qualifier #1. I was kind of expecting to see some of these big names, and I had made sure to let him know, hey, it's going to be a pleasure to cast you. Hopefully, you can pick up some big games. And he said, hey, I agree with you. It is going to be a minefield out there. It's going to be something that it's not going to be easy to traverse to, as they're just trading for the tags. And that's the experience you're talking about. Not to all in, not to put themselves in a bad spot, especially since they don't even know there's so many duos around.
Ooh. It's going to be awkward if they run into Russo, and I think they're going to be able to just sneak on by. Those shots will be fired in their direction as Nico and the Psy-Razor here on the edge. This is a really bad spot.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. If everyone gets on that other side of the land, which it looks like it is, and they're going to cut them off, this is, oh no.
Oh, ooh. And things just get worse. 124 below the damage threshold. And the thing that makes this spot so worse to me is that they're just in the middle of the ocean. They're on an island. So not only do they have to traverse around, the building's going to get a little shaky. It's going to be hard for them. But at the same time, they could be just trying to look for those tags, and a team that doesn't have to worry about it because of that aggressive play to get the tags early on in the game, and they found themselves a good spot outside of Tilted, is Snacky and Fabs. But I don't think that surprises anybody.
I don't think so either. I feel like everyone has a lot of expectation on Snacky and Fabs, right? They have this preconceived notion of they are F and CS winners in the past, so of course they're going to do well. But again, new format, new season, new chapter, new entire meta. You've got to play a little bit differently. They were always very hyper aggressive, so this might be their chance to make it into finals. This is a hyper aggressive format. Because again, if you win, you're good to go. As Clux and Shades trying to get as close to people as they can without taking as much damage, because again, they are below Surge. 12 below is going to be Gosh and Sharp. They've got to get this damage in 40 seconds before it starts activating and taking their HP away. And no, they're going to end it down to teammate. Gosh is unfortunately go all the way in. No, that's going to be Sharp, as Gosh made the unfortunate mistake of editing them down and somehow, some way, able to get back up. Very low HP, but they got the med miss, so they're chilling.
Yeah, I'm even at a loss for words how he was able to get back up. But Sharp, man, that's how you create your own destiny. We talked about not really knowing too much about him. That's how you start to catch the eye. But you like how they're also not backing down. They realize they still have some more damage to cover. Trey, another great person that I know about, kind of getting coached a little bit on the side, making sure they have that third eye view, but the damage is definitely in. They're trying to do just enough that they don't have to worry about Storm Surge, slapping down that steel wall for some extra cover. And this is going to be the moment they have to breathe, but they're only going to breathe so much as they drop down below the damage threshold yet again.
And the steel wall, the armored wall, is one of the most amazing items when you're in this situation, right? It's the biggest denial of anything there. You're getting shot? No, I'm not getting shot. I have an armored wall, but look, they go through their base, and Trey is going to capitalize on this. No, not going to be able to do so, and neither is their teammate. Unfortunately, Nickjaw and Zeno just pushed too aggressively, too quickly. They close the distance, close the gap, and they take them down.
Yeah, that's very, very unfortunate, but I know that's one of those duos. They land at the northern portion of the map, uncontested, a little bit of a split drop. So you can see that kind of what that does. We saw it on qualifier number 1 with Quinn and Wave. It took a big game, a big strategy switch up in game number 5, but it definitely worked out for them. Wave popping off at the end as a solo to punch their ticket to the grand final, so they don't have to go through this battlefield that is the semifinals. You see a bunch of eliminations still racking up in your elimination feed, but for those teams that might have escaped now for Surge, they need to start thinking of a plan how to gain it.
And unfortunately, one of the teams that I'm rooting for is going to be Tiny and Fruit. They did end up falling. They, again, like Kelly said, were 1 point off, essentially they tied, and the tiebreaker didn't go their way. And this is Shades and Clux, who, again, were below Surge, had to try to get it. And you see Shades 8 HP, trying just to get any sort of damage off, but no one's going to allow that when they're hearing the Surge go down. So they get taken down. But yes, we'll go back to predictions for a little bit. I chose Snacky and Favs because, again, I think they can just dominate. I think they can win a game. And even if they don't win a game, I think they'll be at the top of the leaderboard enough to secure that qualification. But Tiny and Cal, I want Tiny and Fruit, I want to see it, right? Because they had such a heartbreaking story, that qualification almost coming down to a tiebreaker. So I want to see them pick up a victory royale today.
World Cup, I think they believe they finished 14th in qualifier 2. One of those teams kind of on the bubble. And that's the thing too as well. You know, top 6, there's still a bubble opportunity for teams that don't get that victory royale. And let's see this team that I'm talking about, what we missed during that replay. Great shots, kind of just melting him by himself and allowing his teammate to clean that one up easy.
And that's that MK7 just rewarding the aim of some of these players. And we knew from past seasons, right? Like, oh yeah, these players got really, really good aim. But now they have a weapon that they can just aim in with down that red dot. Oh, it has been a whole different season for aiming. And that comes into play when we're talking about rotations. A lot of players are going to have to keep that in mind as you look where Favs is looking, that team on the outmost edge of zone. And sometimes while edge of zone is great, this is a situation where it's not. Everyone's going to focus you. They're not even in the zone yet. And oh, that just does not look good.
And I like the way you kind of pointed that out, you know, the edge of zone versus inside, and that's why we kind of have that content piece, asking our pro players, asking our analysts, what do you prefer? It's all situational, and every single game today will show you every single switch up that happens. It's not going to be the same exact play from the same exact person every time, because it depends on what loot you get. It depends on what resources you have this stage in the game. You might need to be towards the edge of zone going for a refresh, but you might want to position yourself in towards the middle if you have all the resources, you have all the mats, you have the storm surge, and you don't have to worry about it. And I think that's why Fortnite is so beautiful, because it is literally make your own destiny, just like this team sitting in first place right now. Worldka and Kitka I've been knocking outside. Another one of the favorites. And this is where Kelly and my picks are kind of jammed together. Hopefully they don't end up in a skirmish too soon.
Ooh, and a zone that's going to be, I think, one of my favorite zones is that it's not very mountainous at all. It's very flat. It's not a lot of buildings. And I see these players' true potential. And, oh, what a good find by Favs there. That player just peaking a little bit too much. But these are some of the zones that you don't see that often in this chapter, right? Because the map is so mountainous in certain regions and not in others. It's not very flat overall. So I'm excited to see how everyone ends up going about this. And we move over to Sharp and Gosh, who were very low below that totem pole in the Storm Surge category, but now 298, above. What I'm worried about here for Jacob, for them, is they only have 5 left on the med mist. They have no extra shields. They don't have anything.
Yeah, this is another one of those teams that don't have too much here. 164 below the threshold. It's gonna be my pick. They're trying to play passive, no eliminations, 1 point via placement. And they had to use a lot of their resources in terms of heals early on to try to survive that first storm surge that happened. So for them, even though this is game number 1, they might be looking to get a little aggressive, trying to switch up their strategy into game number 2, but this one still, the show must go on. They have to think of a plan B here, and it looks like they're trying to line up something to catch some players off guard. That's Zare and Fade. They won some games throughout a qualifier process as well.
Chicken gonna fall. They are 187 below. They have the heals to out heal it, but they gotta go aggressive. And unfortunately, Nico just gonna get taken down. They did not expect the right hand peek there. sreward really gonna have to clutch up big time there. The teammate's still up, and no, as I say that, they're gonna take them back, trying to secure all that loot there. sreward is just gonna get edited on, pushed, and can they get in? No, not going to be able to. 69 below. Maybe able out here. No, doesn't have the big shield. Only has the minis with 4 players. Ready to go down. Maybe 3 players now. Just trying to get any sort of damage. Is not able to hit it. Not able to get the wall either. So they fall, unfortunately, going. And now see how fluid first place is right now. That means it is very, very close in terms of overall points.
Yeah, and like I said, this team right here on screen, they either won game number 1 or game number 2 during qualifier number 1. I don't know exactly, but that was also their first time in the finals. To win a game your first time, that shows that you have all the potential in the world. And it's surprised maybe none of us picked them. They might be floating on the radar because 218 above. They got that refresh, 10 splashes, 3 minis, spicy peppers. They have everything that is a recipe for success, just like one of our favorite duos here on screen.
They get a kind of a moment to breathe. Storm Surge stopped. Everyone's trying to make their way into the zone. We get a little bit of a pause for a lot of the gameplay as you hear a lot of shots going through. Landjock not getting a pause there, but Favs and Snacky get to breathe. They get to wait. Launchpad's being dropped over. They've got 2 on Favs. That's really good for that rotation. They will essentially secure themselves this next zone wherever it goes. Frappe, unfortunately, going to fall down, and they seem to have found someone out.
And I like how patient they're playing it, though. They know throughout this qualifier process how mechanically gifted they are. It means a ton, right? Don't get me wrong, but it only means so much with everybody else in the lobby so mechanically gifted. When we end up on these moving zones where they have to traverse almost every single player on the lobby to try to get towards that front side, but they know exactly because they've been here before. They're champions. They have all the experience in the world, so they're just waiting for that perfect moment to begin moving out.
Zone gonna pull to the north directly. Only a few players going to get that zone pull, but for Taotai and Beast, it's a perfect one. They get to recycle any old builds that they may have built on the way over here. They're looking, trying maybe to go for high ground because we know high ground wins games, and at this point, that's what you want. You want to win a game because it doesn't matter if you get second until the end of the 5th game, right? You can keep tracking your points all the way through, but at that 5th game, you go down early, you get knocked out of the top qualification spot. It doesn't matter. So securing your finals appearance with the Victory Royale is definitely a way to go. And Fade and Zaire up on the high ground in first place as well, tied, but they are below Surge. They are going to have to try to get some damage going. 108 below. It is falling relatively quickly, but I still think we'll see it activate. It's Faz and Saki maybe going for the high ground. They are. High ground taking to come through. Faz able to secure it with just a couple builds.
Yeah, stealing that one away, that experience playing a massive role, because I was having that feeling of deja vu, and Snacky even took out Fade. The Cypher's going to come in, but Snacky absolutely needed that one as he's under siege. He's going to get dropped and go down. It's all up to Snacky. We've seen so many solo clutches on our different regions today. This could be Snacky's chance, but Hove has a piece of the high ground as well.
It was going to be Hove that took down Favs. He is the one playing spoiler. Beast and Taotai on the low ground, not looking good at all. 26 builds remaining. They've got the med miss. May be able to use it there onto Taotai, but someone's pushing. Moose and Aiden trying to get in, looking at the feed to see if anybody goes down up above. Beast is just trying to spray their way on through while Taotai is forced to deal with them. No, they both go down. High ground is not going to be given over to Snacky. They had to move through. It's going to be Medi. It's going to be Verdi, a team I picked in one of the qualifiers to qualify all the way through to the finals. They unfortunately fell short, and now they're looking to make their name known right here, right now.
Hey, they fell short in the qualifiers, but you know as well as I do, all you do is need a chance, and Snacky is living on that chance. 2 builds left, trying to look for a refresh. He's spotting a couple potential targets, just like Jay Roses, and oh my gosh, that was a big tag, but he does not let him live. But Jay Roses finally goes down. Snacky's trying to survive. He gets locked up, tries to go for the siphon. He finally goes down, but Snacky, damage is done. Spoiler on another team's game.
Midi and Vernie just up on the high ground, raining those eliminations down. E2 will fall. It's going to be Kika that takes down Snacky. What a beautiful play. That was so close to coming to fruition. As Aiden and Moose somehow able to make it happen. Nick Jaw going to go down. Aiden going to find them. They've got 6 eliminations. But again, it doesn't matter until those last moments of the last couple games, because right now everyone's focused for that win, because the win will get you all the way through to the finals.
Yep, and 6 duo teams alive, 10 total players. Bernie and Mitty holding on to that high ground, punishing players, no pun intended, as Punisher is trying to stay alive. He's very, very healthy. He has no chug splashes left, but he has the med mist. He has minis. He has plenty of ammo to make this happen, and 3 eliminations for the team. It's just about biding your time, playing this patiently as possible, but it does look like he's going up, making himself a target for the high ground, so he has to be careful not to do it too much.
And he's got a med miss, so he's got a lot of time still alive in the zone. He can still take a good amount of ticks of damage, but no, high ground gonna bring him out. He's got no build remaining. Can he drop down? No, they're gonna build him out, and it's there. He's gonna find one, but he can't find the elimination. It's gonna be Aiden going down as Mitty is trying to play spoiler, a 2v1. It seems like as that player is down, Mitty and Vernie look to secure their qualification all the way through to the finals. They say we don't want to go out overall winners. We want to get a victory royale and make it all the way through, and it looks like that's what it's going to be, unless the player down below has some sort of insane solo clutch heal off moment. It looks like Mitty and Vernie are going to do it. They're dropping down now. They're trying to secure those builds all the way out, but they don't want to get too aggressive too quickly. They have to be careful. They cannot give it up right now, as we see Show down on the low ground doesn't have the HP to go to a heal up. Doesn't seem like he's got any builds remaining. No, they've got a little bit. They can work with it. But look, Mitty gonna find so much more of a refresh. Show trying to make a play. Vernie going onto him as well. The duo chemistry is there, and Mitty and Vernie secure themselves a qualification right to the finals.
I know, Clay, you're smiling ear to ear. You know you didn't pick the team this time around, but I think you had a feeling, a great feeling that they were to come out on top. And I like the way they did it. They didn't take high ground too early on that one. They let Snacky and a couple players fight it over and almost ruined their own game because of it. And they waited for that perfect moment. They took the high ground, and the moment they did, they just pressured every single player from the high ground.
It was beautiful. Beautiful gameplay for them. It was textbook, if you will. And hey, I am smiling because I did pick them back at qualifier number 1 to get to finals, and happy they eventually made it because they are very talented. But we're gonna need to throw it back to the desk because we need Kelly, we need Panda, and we need Takata to break down all the other action that we may not have gotten to see.
Thank you so much, Clay and Jacob. And what an incredible game 1 to start things off here. Of course, height seems to be the pivotal part of grabbing that victory royale, Panda.
It definitely is, but it's not grabbing height too early. We saw Snacky and Favs have to fight Hove for height there, and it ruined both of their games, ultimately leading to Mitty and Co. walking away with it. But Tokata, man, this was some crazy action to start, right? Watching Favs and Snacky get height, I felt so confident in this moment, and then all of a sudden it just crumbled.
I mean, we felt their confidence, right, Panda? You can see going in the first moving, launch padding onto the high ground, going for that engagement, trying to take it from the start. I mean, you know, they're feeling good. They're feeling confident. And I think although it didn't turn out successfully, this is a good way to start their day.
And there was a moment when I was listening to the caster there saying that, like, look, they only have 2 builds left. So, Takata, let's say that you're in this situation, you try and steal height, but you don't have any builds to really control height. What do you do in that situation?
Well, that's a very risky situation to be in. Normally, you want to go for high ground when you have a lot of spare materials. So if you end up using all those materials, you have to find a refresh, right? And it's not safe to find the refresh on the high ground. You'll have to drop down layers slowly, try and maybe find a solo caught off guard or some duo that's not in the best position. And, I mean, try and get that refresh.
Obviously, though, this is all about the VR, everyone. And of course, that went to the way as Hashira, which we like to call Mitty on stream, and Vernie. And they were able to do that in such a great way, Panda.
Absolutely. And you got to shout out Vernie, like his name says. It's Vernie coming in clutch here in the final moments there with Mitty. And it's such an impressive take on this duo, right? Like Clay mentioned, that was one of his first picks there. That was one of his first predictions. And to see them come out on top here, not only with the VR, but with a couple eliminations just to make sure, right? They're like, look, if we come in second place, we're still doing good on the leaderboard. It's still a ton of points to put away. But no, they still walked away with the VR and they qualify for the finals.
Now, Takata, I was a bit surprised to see that they were kind of being a bit passive in their 2v1 situation. Obviously, it's an advantage. It's 2 versus 1. Why were they playing it a bit safely there in the end game?
Well, Kelly, there's 5 duos that qualify from the Victory Royale. So when you know that you have that qualification to the finals on the line, you want to play it as safe as possible. They played it right. They played that 2v1 situation, and now Midi and Vernie are going to the finals. That also means that Beast and Tao Tai, which were dropping in Sleepy Sounds, where Midi and Vernie were dropping, are now going to be uncontested.
And I mean, Panda, you were talking about it earlier. We saw that exact same thing with Thomas and Vino's team. So is this meaning that we're going to see a VR from them next game?
It's potential, right? Like there's potential for it for sure. Like you mentioned, it was the whole Tayson, Thomas HD. They struggled game 1. They made it to the games and then ultimately still came out on top being contested. And then Vino followed shortly after. But it's going to be interesting, right? Because that's not necessarily the tale every single time we go into a contested drop spot. But this season, this chapter that we are in now, we've seen a lot of contested drops win these games, which has been huge, right? Like, again, when we were doing trios all last year, this was not something we saw. When we saw a team that was contested, we kind of fell for them, to be honest.
Yeah, it's, you know, a lot of the times you kind of have this like in your heart and mind and you want it to be true, but then you end up falling for it. But guys, we need to take a quick look at our top 10 leaderboard right now, because although those that grab the VR, this is the Victory Royale that we have from Hashira, also known as Midi and Vernie, as Panda like to say. You have to give some appreciation for the how the name is spelt there. But this is our top 10 leaderboard. You guys might be thinking, well, why is this important? If you grab a VR, then you move forward. Well, not just the 5 teams that grab a VR move forward, but also the top 6 teams that don't grab a VR are going to move forward as well. So obviously, Gosh and Sharp Takata, you know, I was kind of underplaying them at the top of show, but here they are in second place.
They're showing off what they're capable of doing with 44 points in second place. Right now, the cutoff for top 6 is at 33 points, but keep an eye out. The difference between top 6 and top 9 is 2 points. It is very head-to-head here, Panda.
Well, remember, too, in that top 6, if any of those teams get a VR, they're no longer in the leaderboard, right? That opens up an entirely new spot for somebody to climb right up. So it's a really unique format, and I'm loving it so far.
Yeah, no, this format is really incredible. We're going to have 11 teams move forward to the finals today, which means that 11 new teams are going to be joining us tomorrow, and then the same situation on Sunday. So maybe your favorite team didn't make it through today. Well, don't worry, because they have 2 more opportunities on Saturday and Sunday. But with 1 minute and 21 seconds left, chat, I know you want to jump into game 2, but we want to make sure that all of our players are ready to go. But Panda, what are you looking forward to in game number 2?
All right, I'm looking for some back-to-back action there in the final moments from the high ground, but I want it to be a solo clutch. I want us to see that solo clutch that we've seen in the other regions. So game 2, let's make it happen.
Yeah,
I mean, Takata, sorry.
No, I was just gonna agree with you there, Panda. I mean, I also want to see if Favs and Snacky can, you know, make a little better performance from what they did in the first game. They went confident for that high ground. They secured it, but they weren't able to control it. So now hopefully they can learn from that previous match, go for it again, and maybe get a little bit more lucky and hold it for longer.
I mean, it's rough to see when these 2 incredible players that grabbed, you know, a first place spot in the last season of the FNCS, but then they have only 2 builds left to their name. Obviously, it didn't go to the way of them, but maybe game number 2 is going to be a different situation. Obviously, we have to toss back to our casters to see what they think for game number 2. So Clay, Jacob, take it away.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I am ready for the solo clutches. I think Jacob and I both really want that high pop-off elimination game, and we almost had it there. Favs almost made a play with Snacky for the high ground, and Snacky almost solo clutched it up, but so close. And wait, we won't even get to talk about more. We'll hop right into the game, and then we'll get right into it. Like I said, game number 2 already right away. And pop-off elimination games are kind of what it's about overall if you want to get to the top of the leaderboard. But again, there's a duality happening right now. It's top of the leaderboard overall at the end of 5 games if you don't get a Victory Royale, because you get that Victory Royale, you're going right through the finals.
You saw them last time, this team on screen. I do believe they finished 14th throughout all that mess, but J-Rose and Sneed22 are also one of the duos in qualifier number 2. They did pick up a victory royale, so they know how to win. They have that recipe. They're no strangers towards Tilted Towers. They know they just want to get up. They want to loot up as much as possible, get as much resources as possible, just in case a battle does go down. Because even though that's what we're expecting right now, Clay, it wouldn't be strange or surprising to see everybody here try to back off.
I agree, which would be interesting overall for like Tilted. When you think about the history of Tilted Towers, it's always had these big fights back and forth. I mean, we big names landing here throughout the history of Fortnite, but I agree. I mean, if I'm playing right now, I'm getting the shotgun, I'm getting an AR, I'm getting an SMG, I'm getting a harpoon, I'm getting a heal, and then I'm leaving. That's all I'm looking for.
Going straight to the center zone, just kind of boxing up, waiting for somebody to come back. I'm going for my surge tags as well. But then again, if I'm here in the lobby, I'm probably far, far away from Tilted Towers. I'm going for some split drop that nobody even knows is there, but that's neither here nor there. There's 3 duos still around Tilted, but nobody really popping off a shot just yet. And that just goes to show, and let me continue to say it, Clay, as this is win or punch your ticket to grand finals or that top 6. So these teams, they have a lot to go and think about if they do want to try to take an early skirmish. Uh-oh.
As Aguilar did take down Poppy Blast there, the show just needs to get away. Maybe able to get out. Looks like they will. No, look at those arrows. That means they're chonkered up as well. They're coming to that whiplash, trying to get that elimination because they don't want them to get away. And again, this is a top 6 player, right? Oh no, the cone gonna get the launch pad off, but it's not gonna be enough of a high performance to make it happen. Has that med miss? Can try to heal up a little bit, 3 HP. And in reality, they need to deny every single ounce of loot that they have, but they're not going to have much time. They're big builds coming out, big shots from the other team, but they're not hitting. Almost able to knock that player down, maybe able to solo clutch this up. Big shot's going to connect. They do get the knock, but the teammate is right there.
I won't say I was secretly rooting for him, but man, he was making sure everybody that hopes and dreams for a play like that to come true was probably rooting for him on the side. And you can kind of see it in your mini-map. There were a couple teams and players trying to disrupt that fight, trying to sneak away that elimination or that storm surge damage. Either one that you get, but it's going to be this team, Matt and Nav, that are going to be the last ones standing towards Chonkers. And now that they got the eliminations, they got the damage that they needed, they can kind of pick and choose where they want to go, position themselves in toward the middle, as deep into the zone as possible, as another team that we saw go down because of Storm Surge and being forced into altercation they didn't want. It happens in the early game this time.
West going aggressive to try to correct the mistakes of last game. Seems like it always happens. Players like to be very aggressive once they realize, okay, we're going down to Surge. Well, I need to fix it. I need to find a way to get more tags, and then they go aggressive off of their drops, and it's just not always the play. You can get these tags in rotation. Yes, the sniper rifle's not as prevalent, but it has space for you if you can use it. As we move back over to Daily Bugle, a very interesting play coming through. We see Worldka and Kika using a truck to get out with the spider webs that are just naturally there.
You know, sometimes you got to think outside of the box. Sometimes you just got to mix it up a little bit to try to catch your opponents off guard, but they're going to be stuffed down low towards the low ground. A big difference between 5th and 24th after game number 1, but everything is still possible. But that's why you see a lot of these teams and players getting aggressive. They want to take their own destiny under their control, and lots of shots being fired off. Coex and Static are looking like they're winning this fight that is going to continue. It's going to be prolonged. The resources being used. Chug Splash bouncing around. Worldka hasn't taken too much damage just yet. He needs to figure out a way to alleviate that pressure for his teammate.
Doesn't seem like they're going to be able to do it. Oh, going both in. Whoa, all of a sudden, they had the advantage. Static and Co had the ability to win that fight, but Worldka and Kika going to be able to put the damage down. They did more. Who's got more shield? Who's got more in their inventory? A teammate going to actually drop the loot over so that they can get those chug splashes up back to full. and that's going to be great for them, but they're looking for the finish. That is going to be a confirmation there. There's the Siphon. Doesn't matter that you got the chug splashes from your teammate there. They have effectively the same amount of HP. Siphon going to come through. It's going to be an enemy player. SMG spray. Both of them missing equal amounts of shot. End up about the same. And Wilka says, I got the reboot card. I am out. I am getting as far away from you as I can. Needs to hit the slide here so that they keep going, and they do go in for that reboot and the disengage. I like the play.
No, I love the play as well. You got to be able to stay alive, make it towards the end. You got some good points in that game, number one. You don't want to toss it away after an early skirmish of Daily Bugle. And you can kind of see while he was flying through the sky, I saw it on the mini-map. Somebody might have looked at him going outside of zone. They say, hey, we don't have to worry about him. We can let him kind of sneak past, and then we worry about him a little bit later, try to get our tags on him and see the replay going down yet again. This one's going to be towards Tilted. We saw this battle early. Jay Roses looking like he was separated by himself. Combat and Zays. That's all it takes, Clay. 1 second of separation for a team to see it as a green light.
And that's what I think is one of the most fun things about competitive Fortnite and Fortnite in general, is everything changes in a millisecond, and you have to be ready to adapt to it. And it's so different from other things. And unfortunately, it looks like Fabs is going to go down, went down early here. So Snacky having to solo clutch it up, and this may be the game, but getting third-partied by a team, Prism and Hound looking to take them down. Shots will come through. Doesn't look like Prism takes any damage, so Snacky may have ended up taking a good amount there. Does hit a nice damage shot for 32, but Snacky in a box with Hound rather, and unfortunately gonna go down early.
It's not exactly what you want as this team, I'm not gonna say continues to put themselves in a hole, but they're definitely making their end game that much harder. And you see those two players on the outside of Greasy. That was Punisher and Landjock, making everybody's life that much harder as well. And Prism and Hound, they kind of knew it. You saw they were kind of playing towards the high ground, but staying inside of the boxes, forcing Fabs to try to make that play in such a bad spot. But back on over to Tilted, where you see so many duos beginning to converge, mixed with the ones that actually landed there, as Badrisa and Physics are going to end up in that exchange of Combat and Zays, who already got one duo down and out. Everybody's being smushed in. Physics shield's being dropped off. He's going to go down as Badrisa trying to survive another elimination, another squad wipe for the duo from WTJ.
Combat able just to provide enough distraction, because you saw in that moment they wanted to go for that finish, but not able to do it. Zay is able to clutch it up. As we got a replay here from Batista's side of things. They do end up getting the knock, and they're trying to go for that finish, but because they're up against the stair, it's such an awkward angle to try to use that there, and you see just unfortunate there. They weren't happy with how that played out. They tried the best, but they weren't able to actually get that elimination. But again, reminder, it's not about overall points completely. It is, but again, I'm going to keep saying it because the Victory Royale is such a big thing in Fortnite, and usually get the Victory Royale in semifinals, it just means you go to the top of the leaderboard. But now it means, hey, you're out of the game and you're going to finals, which is another thing to talk about. With Mitty and Vernie winning, their drop spot is now free.
Yeah, that's actually true, because we've even seen it on EU. When we had that pop-off with Vino winning that clutch game in towards the end, it was his opposition that won the game prior. They left that spot, and that allowed them to kind of get a little bit more loot and qualify. So we might see very, very similar things here happen during our weekend of semifinals. A lot of action, a lot of opportunity for teams to try to qualify. And that's going to be another interesting fact. If you qualified for that grand finals, you realize your spot is over contested unlike any other time. You might want to try to look to switch it up, just like Gosh and Sharp. They might not be looking to switch up too much. Already sitting in third place. It looks like they have the tags, so they're just trying to look for a great spot in towards zone.
I love that they're using this vehicle. Just keep going and spraying out of it, letting Gosh get those Stormshot tags. As Punisher all the way up on top of the zipline. Landjock doesn't seem to be with him right away. I'm not exactly sure where Landjock is. I think on the other little antenna pole. It looks like based off of those arrows in the bottom right. Shots kind of come through for a Punisher, but it's honestly scary for him because he can put the damage down, but they're a little bit more protected, right? They got that car to naturally protect them, so they're good to go. And I think Landjock just on the other side. And I mean, let's talk about the prevalency there of the lack of shotgun. We see it a lot this season because the Stinger SMG is very strong. But I still am a big proponent of the fact that having a shotgun in your inventory is so good for these late game situations because it just allows you to do consistent damage.
Yeah, and I think some of these duos are probably have that mindset of everybody's going to be carrying either an auto, some sort of striker or heavy that I could probably get an elimination, pick it up later in the game, or maybe somebody else picks up elimination, leaves it there. But Punisher and Landjock, 368 above that damage threshold. That gives them so many options and choices, especially since they're so high up. They have the zip line to get down. Is this their game to kind of do whatever they want with it? Sitting in 7th place, though, that's a little bit my worry, depending on how their mindset is. Do you want to go for that victory royale? Are they playing a slow and steady game? The decision is really theirs, Clay. And Gosh and Sharp, they're sitting in 3rd. They're very, very similar spot.
And normally, it'd be concerning to see this far below Storm Surge for a duo, but 3 players need to go down. They've got a lot of teammates around, or enemies around them, rather. They've got their teammate with them. And Sharp is going to take a big chunk of damage. They'll put some back. They'll go above, but now they're looking just to make their way and to continue this sort of back and forth trade, because if they can get more tags on the players below them, that's just eliminations. But they've got to be careful because this team below of Russo and Winter sees this, right? If they're able to capitalize on this and get more damage onto them, well, they're going to go down. In 3rd place, you don't want to go down right now.
Yeah, Fruit and Tiny went down in the elimination feed, and this is where that's Punisher and Landjock. They're shooting at across the map, and I like the way you say they've got to be careful. It might look like they're on the edge of zone. It might look like that's an individual battle that you can kind of take without too much of the lobby interrupting it. But look at all the high ground. Look at where everyone's positioned. So Gosh and Sharp, they got to be careful when and where, but they get broken down. The fight might come to them, as C Winner and Russo are those players towards the bottom. Double finalists throughout 1 and 2 qualifiers, falling short 2 different times. Specifically, it was, I do believe, in that 2nd qualifier, they might have done the best. 13th and 15th. Yes, so that 2nd qualifier.
Looks like they're going to find someone outside the zone. That's always an interesting one. Do you stay there? Do you wait? Do you try to get those tags? Do you just let them rotate in? Looks like they're going to sit and wait, look for that elimination, because, hey, it might be what they need points-wise to keep going, because, again, it's a back and forth story here as 21 below. This is going to be the only duo below. What's interesting with Storm Surge is they're both getting hit. It doesn't matter that it's only one player that needs to go down. They are the only ones below Storm Surge, and now we'll see Boatings will go down. They'll stop getting hit by the Surge, but it's always interesting to see in that moment. My thoughts for that is, yes, if you have the ability to out heal it, do it. But if you have one med kit, one mini, one big shield, and you try to keep your teammate up, just let them go down. Just give them over to Surge. Try to get the reboot, but just go on with your game. But I'm glad that they were able to heal up there.
Yeah, I see Beast and Tao talked about Fruit and Tiny going down. Even though they themselves didn't get the exact eliminations, or at least both of them, they were a huge part in targeting out those players and making sure there was one less duo in the lobby to worry about. And I kind of like the way you said, because I see it so many times, these teams trying to out-heal it. They're not using their resources correctly when they run out, and then they have to go in either way. But for a team like Tao and Beast, you got to think they're well above the threshold, especially with Beast having elimination. Even if they weren't, they don't have too much to worry about. They have 6 minis, 3 big pots, chug splashes, and that's just on one player. So as soon as they find themselves a great spot, as center as I think they would like, because depending on, everybody you ask, it's different between center and the edge of zone, but I think that's where they're going to set up in the hard match, try to build up as high as possible, and have a wait towards endgame.
Gosh and Sharp looking good, but who is the only returning duo from the previous FNCS Duos Finals? That is a very interesting question there. Oh, I feel like I know the answer, but I just can't. It's like right on the tip of my tongue. So I'm gonna let Jacob answer first, and then I'm gonna answer.
I mean, it's gonna be a hard one. At the top of my head, I just think OG status, Landjock, and Punisher. I gotta be wrong.
I'd have to agree. I would have to go with Landjock.
Been around so long.
I was gonna go with Saki and Faust, but I don't know if they played together in duos.
I don't think they did.
It's gonna be Falconer and Riverson. Okay, so they play tomorrow. Production being a little sneaky there, throwing it stat in for tomorrow. They got us. They got us. But yes, Falconer and Riverson did play together back in the day in duos, and Riverson's actually one of the few players that kind of started that transition from West players moving all the way over to East. He did that and then came back over to West, so he's getting a little bit of experience on both sides of NA East and NA West. But back over here playing with Falconer, I look forward to seeing how they do.
Yeah, no, I do too. I'm actually really surprised they, didn't qualify through the first 2 qualifiers. Surprising, according to series points, they weren't here on the first day. But we know all you need is a chance for that dream to possibly come true. As Punisher and Landjock not having to move at all, still controlling a major portion of that high ground. But a team that's going to have to think about a rotation is Zooks and Bolts, and they're going to have to think long and hard. There are so many teams stacked up towards their left and that right side of the zone. They might have to wait, maybe even use this jump pad early on, but at the same time, you don't want to use it. The decisions are theirs, and it's going to be tough decisions.
Will they be able to make the right ones, though?
Question.
We'll find out. We'll find it out soon. But this zone, let's just take a look at it and see that it's got that water coming through the middle of it, and that's going to be some of the hardest areas to traverse in Fortnite, especially if it's going to go up and down and up and down. Evolve will go down there to Punishers. Look at how many players are stacked on this north side of the zone. I really want to see how many players are on that southwest island. It looks like only 4. 2 duos are going to be on the other side. No, it's going to be 6 players on the other side. So out of 63 total players, less than, I'd say, 1/8% is going to be on that small island.
Yep. Punisher and Landjock, this is the tough part for them right now, because if that zone moves far away, yes, they have a free path towards that zip line. They can not take any damage. They have a jump pad as well, but they too are going to have all the options in the world how you want to figure out to rotate. But right now, they're just looking to try to get some tags, saving as much of the resources as possible, not over peaking, because there might be some teams that are danger of that storm surge, trying to look up and catch them off guard, as well as Air is going to go down. Fade goes down, as well as Winter picks up both of those eliminations, and Winter has been going off in both of our qualifiers.
And notice on Punisher there, they didn't have a lot of AR ammo, and with high ground, you're going to need to have a great amount there. As Zoo looking for some damage, they try to catch an unsuspecting team there, but weren't able to do it. The damage ended up going on to Bolts. They're pretty low. Zaire and Fade, unfortunately, going to fall. Combat will go down. Frappe getting a good amount of eliminations, and I really like this play, the shield keg, to negate all of the storm surge damage, so they can sit here, use this keg, try to find any sort of damage so that they can heal up. And that's one of the best ways. They also have another one, so there's no reason they'll go down during surge here.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of makes me a little worried and a little scared is the amount of resources. They're medium and light ammo. They don't have a ton, so they're really going to have to pick and choose their shots, and that's what makes the shield cake even better, because when you're low on those resources and you have to pick and choose, that gives you more time to actually pick and choose those shots. But a team that is running out of time, Clux and Shades, one of them has already dwindled down, stuck in a bad exchange. A Storm Surge still playing a prevalent role as Clux backs down, trying to out-heal it, but so many players continuously still need to go down. Zone is now moving, forcing players into an even worse spot here, as they still need to look for that damage, as Remy's below him. They have a couple targets in mind, but nothing's presenting itself yet.
And the team that they ended up getting an elimination onto was already going down to Surge, so they didn't have a lot of HP. Clux trying to find any sort of reprieve, but just gonna go down to Surge and spray there and rush on the high ground on top of that windmill. They chose right. Again, it was 63 players total. 6 of them were on the island, so that percentage is just abnormally small, and they chose right. When you have that moment and you don't have to be those ones that have to make that trek, you are looking good. But we know zone's either going to go north, it's going to go to the east, or it's going to go to the west. It's not going any further south. So I'm excited to see who ends up pulling the zone as we move back over. Punisher, again, they've got a lot to work with, but they don't have a lot of AR ammo. They have a lot of SMG light ammo. They are going to look good, but that's another zone that's going to be that hard, because look, only the smallest little bit is going to be of land.
good luck to anybody that doesn't have some sort of rotation. Punisher might have to leave Landjog. That's all I'm saying. He has the Spider-Man Mythic. He has his rotation over, but it depends on if his teammate, and that's something you might have to do because there's no point in both of you going down. Sometimes you might have to be the solo heroes. I love the high ground view. You see everybody that's going to be forced to rotate out. Try to think of something, as not too many people, regardless if they have that left side that is the zone, are going to be too safe here.
Oh, they're trying to find any sort of tags there, but in all honesty, you're not going to get a lot of damage with that SMG when they're flying through the air like that. Russ and GGEZ, they have the high ground, but they don't have a lot of ammo to keep it. They have the builds. They'll be able to keep that for now. They go from windmill to windmill, turbine to turbine. But again, with high ground being so early, I love what Tao Tai and Beast are doing. They're going into zone to secure themselves that initial landing. They are safe here, but if it goes any more south, again, they're gonna have to build back out. A lot of players going down though. Tao Tai looking good. Look at high ground that's going back and forth. Another team trying to build their way on up for it. Rush is trying to hold it there, but they are gonna get coned off again. They went for high ground too early. The pattern is repeating.
Yep. Luckily for them, though, they didn't waste too many resources. They could still drop low and be okay. They could still try to take another shot at it. It's Elder and Statics have a piece of that high ground for now, but when it comes to resources and that, Elder at least is down to just wood. He's a beamer from the bottom to go ahead and make Elder worry. He's gonna have to think about dropping down just like you see, but there's a couple of players, two duos waiting. Rush, they retake that high ground right back, forcing the team down low, and that's gonna be a pot to hold on to as Elder goes down as well. Not only do they get high ground, they get an elimination and a little bit of a refresh.
I'm surprised they went back up for it. Rush has 90 builds now. Soda's pulling all the way back to their old builds, back to these turbines. They are really challenging everyone in this lobby as we see Cypress unfortunately going to fall there to Tao Tai, who picks up a double elimination on the low ground. High ground looking good. It should be secured. I don't know how many more players are going to go for a Tao Tai though, operating really well all the way up into 8th overall place. If they pick up a victory right here from the low ground, they could do it. They actually have they've got 12 chug splashes. I'm not sure what Beast has for heals in the inventory, but this is looking good. But Punisher and Landjog on the other side, they moved up to second place. They're trying to get into Tao Tai's box. They don't want to allow him to have this much space on the low ground, but the builds, the teamwork is keeping them out.
Yeah, Gosh is going to go down along with Sharp, that third place team out of the game. So it's anybody's for the taking right now, but Rush and G's, the team that earned the high ground, they played it smart. They gave it up when they realized the team was trying to overtake it. It was probably too soon for their liking as well. They dropped down just for that moment to save the resources. Tao Tai trying to survive. You talked about the 12 splashes. So they don't have to get into a battle early on. And if they wanted to, they can go ahead of zone and try to claim that positioning and then heal back up. But look at Beast as well. They have what? Quick math, almost 36 splashes of different variations.
Yeah, they're fine.
24.
There's no way they should lose this game. There's no way. Knowing them, with that loadout, you're just going to go all the way into final zones. It doesn't matter that Tao Tai took damage here. He's going to go ahead and heal it up, but I think wait a little bit on fully chug splashing all the way through and just secure the low ground. They have more HP than anybody else in the lobby in their inventory. Punisher gonna go down. Couldn't make the edits. Landjog now has to drop down. Does have the gauntlet to try to make this a little bit easier. Not going to be forced to use them, though. Bumboy will fall to GGEZ on the high ground. Landjog gonna miss out on an entire loot pile right there, down to 30 HP, trying to break their way on through. Frappe looking up for the high ground. Looks like Nate is gonna be the one to take it. Rush is trying to launch pad up, but no! Gets swatted out of the air like a fly.
Yeah, this is the perfect time to take it. Frappe and Nate with the game dwindling down. 5 duos remaining, 8 total players, so there's a couple solos still trying to make the dream happen. And we have all that light ammo to go ahead and continue to put the pressure down. That's going to be big as they have the shields as well. Nate's just going to take this moment to breathe. Tao Tai and Beast still, all those splashes, but they're running out of resources. That's going to be the thing that haunts them the most, but they can take the damage in the storm, realizing they have the splashes to heal back up, waiting for that perfect moment to strike.
And they're not using him game effectively. They're stacking over the top of each other. They have enough mats, but look, it's going up a hill. There's no way. They went too early. They may try to go for a high ground retake. Nate and Frappe don't really have the mats to do it. Looks like Beast and Taotai are going for it. The Chili Chuck is coming through. What are Nate and Taotai going to be able to do? Rather, Nate and Frappe going to be able to do. Beast just walks right over them. Taotai takes the high ground. It doesn't matter if you have the high ground all the way in the late game. They had enough to out-heal the zone, but look at the amount of materials they have left. They don't have any. It's going to try to drop all the way down. You saw the little bump off the edge that prevented him from going all the way down. Took only 60 fall damage there. Is going to find the elimination. That Siphon might be just what they needed. A 2v2. They've got Chug Splashes to heal all the way back up. This is a beautiful, beautiful play by them, but can they seal the deal? Can they get the elimination to do it? Yes, they can. Elimination is going to come through. Taotai gets them both, takes down Frappe and Nate. The beautiful play for the victory royale.
And you kind of saw their destiny in their own control throughout the course of that game. And you even said it, a little bit of ineffective use for those splashes. But as soon as they got that breather, as soon as they got that moment to think about what their plan is, they executed that plan to perfection, waiting to get both of those siphons as Taotai and Beast take game number 2.
And we haven't seen a play like that since the very beginning of Chapter 2, right? When floppers were introduced, everyone over in Europe was kind of waiting back in the zone, popping those floppers and then running up to take high ground. And it's been a while since I've seen that in West, and it was a beautiful, beautiful play. Again, that little bit of a misstep there. They could have had more splashes, but at the end, it didn't matter. They didn't need it. They got the victory royale. Now they're in finals.
Yep, that's exactly when you take the destiny in your own hands. But we talked about multiple ways to advance to that grand finals. It's a win and you're in. And top 6 from the leaderboard. It's got to be chaotic after that game number 2. And only our analysts can break it down. So guys, please make some sense of this.
Jacob, we're going to try and make sense of it, but what an incredible run from Taotai and Beast there. And I totally have to agree with Clay. It looked like there was a moment where they were kind of going for the heal off, which hasn't really been a thing in Chapter 3. And it looked like they weren't going to take it, but Panda, in the end, they were able to grab that VR.
We got to talk about it. Ending with 11 eliminations is no easy feat for a team like Taotai and Beast. They did everything they could in the final moments. You see them actually going into this with only 2 eliminations on the board, and then it was just player after player dropping down there as Taotai and Beast presented themselves, holding down the low ground layer really effectively. We talked about how high ground was great last game, but low ground, almost the entire game here for them, won them this game. And then here it was, that heal off play that you talked about, being able to hold out and storm there for a little bit, then take the high ground, was everything for this team.
I mean, they played it so perfectly with this zone, which was a difficult zone to come out on top in. From the change in elevation to the water to tanking zone with the splashes, they were able to come out on top. And also, an interesting note, the Game 1 winners, Midi and Vernie, dropped in Sleepy Sounds, and now Beast and Taotai, who also drop in Sleepy, just got another victory royale. So now there's an on-con POI on the map. Who's gonna take it?
It's just like what we saw from Europe just a few hours ago with Thomas and Tayson, and then Vino's team taking over that drop spot as well before when it was contested. So Panda, let's say that you're one of these teams right now. You haven't had the best performance in the last 2 games. How do you confidently take a spot that you haven't practiced for?
That's the question, right? Obviously, this is going to be more beneficial for the teams coming in tomorrow. But listen, if you know this spot is open on the map, you can try to take it and try to study as much as possible. But I only think you should switch drops if you're not making it to the end game. This is the only time I think it's a problem. But if you're making it to the end game, despite being contested, keep doing what you're doing. There's no reason for you to switch. Otherwise, then consider it. But it's still a pretty big risk for these players.
I'm sure a lot of the teams that might be in the lower part of the leaderboard are thinking about that switch, but our teams that are in the top 10 right now probably thinking that they're going to stick with their drop spot. So in just a moment, we're going to be looking at our top 10 leaderboard right now because, again, guys, it's not just the 5 teams that grab a VR that are going to move forward into the finals. It's also the top 6 from our leaderboard. So here we have it. Joining Hashira and Vernie, it's going to be Taotai and Beast after game number 2. And, of course, we have 3 more teams that we have to grab that VR to make it into the finals. But here we have it, everyone. And I don't think it's too much of a surprise for anyone to see Aiden and Moose on top, as well as Landjock and Punisher, Nigel and Angel, Gosh and Sharp. I mean, honestly, Takata, a lot of these teams that we're seeing in the top of our leaderboard are the top teams of NA West.
Top teams of NA West, and it's showing off with their consistency. They're constantly getting to the late game, but they're also making use of those 3 points per elimination, securing a good amount of elims in those late games, and I mean, it's showcasing being in the top 6.
And we're taking a quick look at the second page here, and Panda, I just want to say, I see my team here, Notch and Hav, but where's Favs and Snacky?
It's okay. You know what? They don't need that, right? They don't need to be up in the top 20 right now because they're going to walk away with a VR in game number 3. Calling it now here. Remember this moment. Panda says Snacky Favs taking game 3.
I am so ready to see it. Those are the predictions that I want to hear here on the FNCS analyst desk because, again, Favs and Snacky are a pivotal part of NA West competition. It wouldn't be a finals without them, but VRs are so important, and there's a lot of teams here that kind of go for consistency. They go for a big, heaping of eliminations on top of placing in the top 10 as well, but any team can really grab if they've made it this far, any team can grab a VR, Takata.
Any team can do it, Kelly. It's all about maintaining that consistency and making the most out of the situations given to you. For example, I saw an interesting note there in the last endgame that ended the south of Greasy by the windmills on the map there, and that's actually Punisher and Landjock's drop spot. So they got a zone literally in the same place they drop at. So you can get a little fortunate with some of those zones, but making the most out of it, getting yourself in a good position before the other players, that's what it's about.
There are so many factors that go into being a top team in the FNCS, but what factors go into being the greatest casters of the FNCS? Well, of course, we have to go to Jacob and Clay to see what they have to say.
Yep. Not going to have to wait long at all, Clay. 2 games down, 2 victories in, and the leaderboard, some players are beginning to create some distance between them and the rest of the opposition.
It's looking kind of tight at the top, and that, like you said, I mean, we call it the shoe-putting over here. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen the patented shoe-putting of West, so that top 6, if they keep playing like they are and they don't end up getting a victory royale, they're looking like they're going through to the finals. But again, got that battle bus coming on through. We're ready to hop into this beautiful game number 3.
Game number 3 is on our hands, Clay, and we've already seen 2 duos punch their ticket to the finals. And now we're on board Favs and Snacky. I gotta believe they're some of the biggest fan favorites in our semifinals, day number 1, but they're not having the day they've been hoping for so far.
Uncontested this time around, no. Both able to get the loot that they want, get a chance to breathe, find all of it. And again, reminder, 3 teams. Well, 2 teams have had that victory royale. 3 after this one will be removed from the game. And like I said, I'll be interesting to see who's dropping where these other players that qualified have. Who's taking over that? Because again, like Panda said, if you haven't practiced the drop spot, it's not worth it to go ahead and try to switch up your drop unless you're guaranteed to get it uncontested. I mean, because then it's an uncontested drop spot, you're gonna chill no matter what. But look at Sleepy Sound, it's contested. This is a very interesting POI that can be split like 3 different ways, and excited to see how these players end up splitting it.
Yeah. Just got to be very, very careful at some times, because if you don't kind of watch where you're going, you could get tagged from across, but luckily for them, they don't have to traverse outside of this spot too soon, because they still have a corner of it inside of the zone and see another team towards the Daily Bugle. This is where a lot of action pops off very early, and almost all of our team in 29th place going up against a team that is on the bubble. They might not try to get it through that victory royale, but they're trying to get it through consistency.
This is a very awkward fight if they go down now. They're only going to have 2 games left. Try to clutch up that top 6 placement or that victory royale. And they don't have the best loot to do it with that Ranger AR. Not going to be the best at spraying. They have a Stinger SMG on the side of World Cup. But again, this is getting tight. They're running out of room. The walls are, looks like, caving in around them. The build's just not there, so they're going to find a little bit of a reprieve. They're going to find a disengage here. Static may have gone a little bit too aggressive as Roka and Kika going in, and that's exactly what they needed. They needed the other players to make a mistake. They're able to get the down just barely, and this is how they did it last game. They waited for the other team to make the mistake. They got the elimination, and now they're chilling.
I like the way he pointed out. It's like deja vu all over again. They didn't learn their lesson when it comes to separating. All it takes is a second for these players to notice that you are separated. They see it as a green light and they get aggressive, especially this season. Well, how easy it is to get in those boxes when it's only one player. Multiple Stinger SMGs shooting through the builds to make that first elimination possible. And that go ahead and forces World Cut and his duo to kind of make that decision. Do you go ahead and camp the car? Do you go ahead and try to rotate out? I see multiple teams going out in our elimination feed, including E22.
Oh, that is unfortunate. That's a big name for J Roses being their duo partner going down. And notice we've slowed down. Only 4 players have gone down. Javier will be another. And we get to take, again, another little bit of a breather. West has been so jam-packed. As I say that, you have another fight on the lower side of the map. CZR, Javier's duo, trying to pop a big shield. Has a lot of heals, but really have the time to pop it. Nice tags coming on through there. CZR get a chance to pop that shield. Hopefully, no, it will get popped there. As Navi on the other side, looking for any sort of tags. CZR just trying to find that perfect shot. They had it. Not gonna be there. The cone over the top was almost perfect. The builds gonna be there. Are they gonna get the cone? They did. The box there like a fish. Will they get the edit? No. The stair was not their favorite. They boxed him yet again. This is what he needed to do. A beautiful execution of his mechanics there as CZR will take down one and now looks to take down another.
Again, Clay, again, these players are separated. I don't know what the game plan was, but CZR is looking like he's trying to hunt down that last and final player that's stuck towards the low ground. It makes me wonder what the resources are like as his life is flashing before his eyes. CZR continuing the aggression. Doesn't have a stinger, though, so it's going to take him some time trying to get in the box, but it takes piece by piece, step by step. He gets dropped in, shots back and forth. CZR trying to survive. The damage is in his favor as Nav is doing everything he can to stay alive. Both of these players just taking a second to breathe, but it is CZR who I think has the better of the resources.
And honestly, yeah, he's gonna be able to heal up. He can even pop the guzzle juicer there if he wants to, but doesn't need to. Nice 98 tag. That's all the shield gone there from the enemy. Guzzle juice will be popped. So now Effect will be just healing until he takes damage, and it doesn't matter. He's doing the damage cone over the top. The edit down gonna come through. The pickaxe is there. They're all one hit. Not able to track him through, and now in enemy territory has to try to find these builds that are his. And is gonna find the edit. Shots are there, but it's only 20 damage. No! He was so close to getting that elimination, Jacob, but he just missed the shot.
But he's not giving up. He knows the player's dead to rights. Here in the med mist as well. Trying to take as many of those minis towards the low ground. Nav got a couple of them as well. The battle's going to continue. CZR goes down. Nav survived. And he makes a big play for him and his duo. Just try to stay alive. But look at Storm is on their back. He has to still go get the card. So his job is not over just yet.
There is no way. Let's take a look at Nav's perspective there. The SMG spray just going to be enough. He hits a couple headshots there. Was 19 HP and barely able to clutch it up. Oh, that was a great fight.
That was great. That really tests the patience as individuals. It tests how far you're willing to go. And he's going to have some more work to do. I said he's going to have to traverse far to get in towards the zone. But another team trying to make up for lost time. They're sitting right on that bubble. 6th place. They find, I do believe, a possible elimination towards the low ground. But if they don't be careful, if you look in your mini-map, there's another team that might have heard those shots and are trying to hunt them down themselves. Uh-oh.
Doesn't look good. They're gonna have the high ground. Yeah, they've got heals to go out to around the edge of zone, but it's getting awkward as Pump's gonna find an elimination there on the GGEZ, who we saw get very far into the last game. They had the high ground multiple times. As Rush is just going to disengage. They don't want to be involved in that fight anymore. They hop in the truck. They try to get away. and they will. No reboot card for now. It's got about 4 minutes and 30 seconds left on that before they can come back as J Rose. This will now be finished off E22. Not going to have that chance. Again, 2 more games left to get either top 6 or grab yourself a victory royale after that one for the teams that have been eliminated.
Yep, we see another team trying to take the leftover scraps. Monkey and Pumps, they were kind of already in here, but it's Kiowa and his teammate Trey that are trying to take the scraps. They land a little bit outside, a little split drop. They're just trying to take whatever's left. It's just this team trying to take this elimination. This player down that is Elder. We saw him go far in our last couple of games. Hopefully he can make it towards another one, but Vibesy and Slickies doesn't look like they want to let him go for free as he's trying to go and survive as a solo. He's under siege, forced to use so many mats to try to stay alive, and it looks like all his exits are being cut off one by one as this team is dwindling down, taking away all his options. He's gonna be forced to fight with his back up against the wall, and unfortunately the numbers are too much. He goes down.
That was beautiful teamwork there. They just pinched them from both sides. It almost seemed like Slick City was letting them get a little bit aggressive because they knew that Vibes was just on the other side waiting to get that SMG elimination there for them. And again, great teamwork. And that's what you have to have in these moments. Landjuck and Punisher gonna be riding together looking for tags. Oh, what a good amount of damage coming on through there. Landjuck getting tagged up from afar. Doesn't seem like Punisher knows exactly where they want to go. Having a little bit of trouble there driving through. We'll eventually get on the right path there as Nate and Frappe saw this fight, observed it, and were not able to get involved. Interesting for them. Now, this will be a very interesting sort of game. Do they keep going for that top performance because they're already in 4th place? Or do they go for that victory royale?
And this is where I think, you know, kind of mentioning that content piece with Quinn, knowing your drop spot, how to play your drop spot, but it's very, very important about the map awareness as well, knowing who lands around you, what the opposition is. You need to pay close attention to the elimination feed as well, so you know how many players are on that side, so you can take a fight like this, where it's just a plain out 2v2 across the map, and you could see that's a great mini map right there at the bottom. They're the only 2 duos, so if they wanted to go ahead and try to take this fight, they can take it as long as they want and take as much time as they need.
But they choose not to for now, right? For now, you know that they're gonna turn back, look around, see if that duo is rotating behind them, and possibly go for it. Tilted Towers, though, doesn't seem like the action has stopped here. We're back over Confi and Niel looking to just hold on, right? They were looking for those shots, but at this point, they're on the low ground. Usually they're the ones just trying to get away from the fights. And it looks like they'll get it for now. But again, I don't think that a lot of these players that are in that 30th to 50th range are looking for anything but the victory royale to try to put them up, or at least a 2nd place to put them up to the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because one of the duos we just saw there, Crimson and Flux, got 9th place in qualifier 1. That's got to be so hurting to how you feel about everything. You put it all on the line and you barely miss out. To see Snacky and Fabs, who's missing out on those first 2 games. Now they put themselves in a little bit of a hole. I wouldn't call it a mountain to climb by any means, but they know if they continue to have the same games that they're having, that pressure is going to be on when it comes to games number 4, games number 5, to where we talked about it's victory royale or nothing. So this is a big swing game for them and how they're going to play the rest of the series.
64 above. They don't, now 83, they don't have to worry about Surge. They got a team right next to them, though. Maybe they get aggressive. Doesn't seem like it for now. It looks like Co and Static are going to need to get aggressive. They use that harpoon-like feature of the Spider-Man gauntlets to move that medkit a little bit closer and into their inventory. 62 below, those 7 players. I don't want to have to see them use their 2 chug splashes to try to just stay up in this game. But again, use what you have while also being aggressive, because they don't have the long-range capabilities of that MK7 like Notch does with the foundations there, but it's somehow still below.
Yeah, right now I see Rush exactly where we left him. He didn't go far. He's just trying to hide. He knows he's a solo. Zone is on his side, especially with more players in teams trying to go in and take that fight. This could be an opportunity for Rush to try to get out alive, but it does look like Static and his duo know he's there, but they also probably hear that audio towards the low ground. Multiple players are trying to threaten them, and them being down on Storm Surge damage, they're going to have to play aggressive in order to take that exchange. As Hove and Notch, 55 below. They're not in that same spot. They're not too much for them to worry about, but they're still going to have to figure out a way to get those tags.
They may be able just to out-heal it there. They have a lot of heals in the inventory. All of a sudden, they're going in. Static trying to get pumps there. Nice damage coming through. The tracking was beautiful. Didn't seem to miss a single shot. The wall up there. They're going to get boxed like a fish. Trying to go for the elimination, but their teammate is right there. They say, don't worry, I got you. They take him down. Eliminations coming through. That's going to be pumps going down, as we saw Frappe's teammate falling in the feed as well. Notch and Hoff up on the high ground. Still, no, not fighting Storm Surge. They're finally above, but that's still not safe. You don't want to be just barely above, because look, it's you and another duo right on the edge. 9 above. Another duo is going to be getting hit by the Surge. And oh, what a shot there from Notch. And that's the power of the Foundations. MK7, it's just so good.
238 above the threshold.
Feel him!
But look at Rush. Rush on our side, he's still trying to survive. 62 below. He needs one player to go down. He has corn. He's trying to eat his fruits and vegetables. He's doing everything in his power to stay alive. But can he outlast the storm? He's sitting in 5th place. Medkit is there. This could be the saving grace, but does he have enough time to get this one off? And even if he does, he's still 76 below.
He does have enough time. This next tick will have taken him. No, he doesn't. I couldn't see the exact HP. I thought he did, but no, he goes down. That is so unfortunate for Rush. You find the med kit just a little bit too late. Oh no.
That could have been big too. If he did find the med kit just a little bit sooner, while he had just like a sliver of a shield left on him, that could have been a game-changing play, but he gets eliminated. As you see this great view, a couple of kind of sections, a couple of settlements around the map with so many duos kind of being forced together. And once again, Fabs and Snacky in 20th place right now, still trying to play that slow and steady game. And that comes from experience. And I always keep bringing that up because experience plays so much. That's something you can't buy no matter how many V-Bucks you have.
Right, they're just posturing so they can get this drop because they want that launch pad. They want that guaranteed movement there. Landjock and Punisher on the other side. They're 2nd place overall. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth it to go for the victory royale, or do we just keep playing our game? We just keep going for this overall top 6, because again, if you get top 6 overall, you're going through. You don't have to be aggressive for that victory royale. And of course, you're wondering, well, there's 3 days of semifinals, Clay. What's happening in the other days? So those 11 players that did end up getting moved out, we will move 11 new players in from the from the series points leaderboard, and they will come and play. So everyone here today that doesn't qualify gets 2 more opportunities to make it happen.
Yeah, so even though it would be a little bit of a shock to a lot of people, Fabs and Snack, he didn't make it past this point. With that experience that I keep bringing up, with everything that they've had throughout multiple seasons, being the champions that they are, you got to think 3 opportunities, that is definitely doable for them. But for a team not looking to take all 3 opportunities, Sharp and Gosh currently sitting in 3rd place, setting themselves up pretty nicely to try to collect as many points as possible. But they're going to have to move in. And right now, they're in a very congested part of zone. And a team and a player as Punisher and Landjock, because of that car that they had, the vehicle, they were able to go from the south part of the map all the way towards the north, play a little bit towards the slower side of the zone. And that's why they're able to take their time and continue to take their time here.
Ooh, gonna find a guzzle juice and a med kit there. Actually, I'm not sure they're gonna grab it. Looks like they are gonna grab the med kit. It seems like for some reason as well, they are having such a hard time on that rotation. As we'll swap over to our 1st place duo, gonna be Aiden and Moose, but they don't have a lot. They're gonna try to get into zone, just barely gonna be able to do it. And oh, armored wall over the top, and I think that's gonna cause a little bit of issues there for Moose as they were trying to make their way in. I like the usage of the armored wall. They have mats on Moose. They have it decent, but this is not what you'd expect from the 1st place team.
Right now in this game, it kind of barely scraping by. I say barely, I use it loosely, but 83 below the threshold. They're going to have to start looking for some sort of elimination. They spot Sunset in front of him, and makes me wonder, do they know he's a possible solo player around? But them peeking out that moment causes them to become a target in the lobby, forcing out another steel wall that they're not going to be able to save for that end game. And that's where we've really seen them utilize the most, when you're that full target in the lobby end game with so many players around. Moose gets his shields dropped off. Aiden is trying to peek. They're just trying to play that bait and switch game, peek the shots, and try to get the damage that they need, but they're just not getting enough, and they're taking so many tags in the process.
Looking. Oh, there we go. There's the tags coming through, and that's the duality of that Ranger assault rifle. It doesn't shoot that fast, but when you hit those shots, it's going to do the damage that you need it to do. And in all honesty, while that armored wall is great, you're going to see they have to build around it, because it's just essentially blocking them off from zone. As only 2 players are going to be in the next zone. It pulls directly to the east, away from Shifty Shafts. That's going to be a hard road to it.
And just kind of looking at Gosh. Not the best of the loot here. Might have to think of some sort of refresh opportunity. Only 1 spicy pepper as well, depending on if his teammate has one in the inventory. They might even get separated on their journey to the center of the circle here, which is so far away. So many players. You said it yourself, only 2, barely a 3rd and a 4th trying to make their way in. A 4th and a 5th and a 6th, I do believe, on the edge of it. But so many. I was talking about only 6 players inside or on the edge. 50 teams, 50 players have to make their way in while surviving that damage threshold, as Evo is doing everything that he can. He's trying to drop a player in towards his box to get the resources, but with Storm moving in, the damage playing a huge portion, and still being below the threshold, they might get taken out through the sky, as Evo has just 1 chance, a sliver of HP. He's gonna get dropped as everybody else finds a spot in the zone.
That was so close. The solo clutches are there. I can feel it. I can feel everybody looking for those eliminations as a solo. They're trying to hold on. The story is building itself. West is almost there to the solo clutches we all want to see. But as I say, that Snacky is going to fall down. I'm not sure the status of Favs, if they're up and operable there. And yes, they are. No, okay, Snacky's still up. You see right through that wall, we swap over. They're just going to be knocked down. Caleb and Kenzo, though, look to get aggressive. If I'm Favs, I try to drop Snacky down, try to get him up, because you're going to need to. They're going to go for the aggressive play. No armored walls to deny the push. Shots coming through. Favs is just going to barely miss the shot. Kenzo going to get a lot of damage off. Favs now has to edit out. Cannot go back for the revive, and unfortunately is going to go back to the lobby as Caleb and Kenzo take them down. Only 2 more games remain for them to try to make the push.
Man, I called this a little bit of a swing game for them. Being that far into the hole, Clay, they are going to have to think of something if they want to qualify on this first day, because you said it, multiple chances for some of these teams here, as Moose and Aiden sitting in first place, regardless of that victory royale. They're trying to gather as much points as possible to get themselves a cushion in that top 6, so that way they can qualify for our finals, with 16 other duos waiting, probably trying to plan their own course of action here for any teams that might be a little close to them in that drop spot. But 16 below, our first place team still has some work for them, but with a couple of shots just like that, I thought for a second they'd go above the threshold, but they still have more to do, as so many duos are possibly trying to take the same shots.
I don't know if they'll have to worry about the surge as much. A beautiful usage of those Spider-Man gauntlets as they're just flying through the air. It has to be a little terrifying, though, to make that play.
Trey going down in the elimination feed. Hound and Prism again have that share of the high ground, but Russo and Winter right below them. They've been a threatening duo almost all series long, throughout the qualifiers as well. Multiple time finalists in terms of those qualifiers. But Russo goes down. You see the elimination feed. So many duos are losing their opportunity here in game number 3, as 267 Landjock talking about a solo clutch. Could be this the moment we're waiting for.
No mats. He's got no mats remaining. He's going to have to make a solo clutch if he expects to get anywhere further. Someone on the edge of zone looking to try to farm up just a little bit. 2 builds there. Hasn't been missed. Has has the web gauntlets, is going to get sprayed out though, doesn't take any damage, able to get in, box himself off, continue through these old builds. 0 builds remaining. Landjack doesn't have an SMG, doesn't have that ability to put down the damage very quickly, has a shotgun and the MK7, but it doesn't matter. Aiden going to get taken down pretty low. Moose is right there, but they're going to go down just as quickly as they got to the top spot, so their first place right now is not looking too good. Med miss going to be used by Landjack after they pop that med kit, trying to find anybody. A solo on the other side would be perfect, and missing the shotgun shot doesn't matter. How much builds do they get? 22, able to make it into zone, will be able to survive for just a little bit longer.
Surviving, not thriving here in this situation as he just gets a refresh and possibly forced to look for more as his shields get dwindled down. 35 HP in a dream. He does have the med kit, but he doesn't have time. He's getting stuck on the rover. Landjock trying to get in the box, but he gets taken down yet again. But Prism and Hound, this is their chance to put the pressure from the high ground, but no medium, no light ammo, so there's only a certain amount of pressure they can even put on the rest of the lobby.
I wonder who's going to go for that high ground push towards the end. Are they just going to be able to win it out from above, or is a team like WorldCut and Kika going to be able to make their way on through? Hound trying to spray out. Bolts now forced into a solo situation. Has a med kit, is going to pop it. They have it out in the inventory. They already have one tick of zone damage. They are setting up for it. Do they time it right though? That's the question. Going to pop it a little bit early. That way they have a chance to run back in the zone if it doesn't pull their way. Kika has a good angle for eliminations, but not finding anything.
Blue Convict and Slicknick going down. Zays once again. That's going to be Beast with the elimination. Prism and Hound, even though they don't have all the ammunition in the world, they're still doing a good job of maintaining. Bolts as a solo. Somebody we're trying to look at. Remy is down as well. That's going to be by Convict as WorldCut and Kika are trying to do what they can. They're going to get dropped down low. Not too many resources to their name, but 7 eliminations. Almost trying to make it an 8th, but they're both going to get dropped. That's going to be Salty. A huge double kill as this one dwindles down to our final remaining 6 teams.
And this was a duo that had a lot of expectations coming into qualifier number 2. They put second place into round number 2 there, or first place rather, and weren't able to clutch it up. Ended up going up really early. How no builds remaining, no SMG ammo, not a lot to work with, using all of that med miss, trying to find any sort of damage. They're gonna find Mojo right there on the other side. Nigel gonna go down. Actually, it's gonna be Prism taking him down, but they're not able to grab any of the loot. They're getting these eliminations, but it doesn't matter as Angel down below is able to just survive. The solo clutch may come through. It's going over old builds, so they get a little bit of a saving grace. Still not able to grab any of the loot. It's going to be a 2v2 v1. Bolts is popping a mecha in zone. Courier and Salty look to move from 5th into the Victory Royale. They have a lot of minis, but it's not going to matter now. They have the most effective HP in the lobby. Shot's going to come through. Courier is going to get one. His teammate going to get the other. Can they find the other? No. Maybe able to do it. Yes, they do.
Oh, almost clutching that up. You saw him hiding in the cone for so long. He waited until he heard those 2 duos above him walk past. He knew there was a team below him. He tried to strike, but in the end of the day, as a solo, getting top 3, that is a feat you could be proud of, especially when there's so many ways to qualify for the finals. But it came down to the wire. Bolt, a little bit of the high ground, but Salty was on fire. I don't think anybody could have stopped him with how well he was playing to end that game.
You're right. The teamwork was phenomenal there. They had such a good performance. It seemed right as Courier was going down, Salty was just there to back him up and get that elimination. It was just beautiful.
Yep. They started off with, I think it was Salty, a big double elimination to stay alive, get the extra mats and resources, and for them, they have to be feeling on top of the world. The pressure is now off, nothing to worry about as they are sitting pretty, able to watch the rest of the action unfold for the rest of the weekend. But we talked about the team that won the game. They got their ticket to the finals, but there's so many teams as the leaderboard gets even tighter. Kelly, Panda, Takata, what do we have rolling out for us?
I mean, Jacob, Clay, how can we even predict what's going to happen? After watching EU and NA East, I thought, okay, the team that has height is going to grab the VR. But in our last 2 games, Panda, that has not been the case.
No, it really hasn't. I mean, even from the position there, right? We saw Gruyere and company, they did exceptionally well there in round 2, like Clay mentioned, right? Qualifier 2, round 2, they won it, right? And they won it in spectacular fashion. And once they got to that round 3, they struggled. But here in the semifinals, they showed that they know how to win games. That is exactly what you need to do in a format like this, and that's why they ended up coming out on top.
Not only win games, Panda, they got a double-digit victory, well, double-digit elim victory royale with 10 eliminations. So if there wasn't that golden ticket from getting the victory royale and they were playing pure leaderboard right now, those 10 eliminations would be a 30 points, as it's 3 points per elimination. So being able to control that consistency of getting a good placement in the late game, but also getting those eliminations, I mean, Salty and his duo there played it perfectly.
And obviously, after looking at the VR, you kind of have to look at the teams that also did well towards the end game there. And Prism and IWNL, having height, did a pretty good job, but they weren't able to clutch out that end game, Panda.
Yeah, unfortunately not. But you know, look, there are still so many opportunities here for this team, and they're showing promise. They kind of took over the high ground at an appropriate time. Prism was doing a good job despite not having a ton of material to work with to make some things happen. But that could have been a result here of maybe the high ground was too early. Despite them being able to hold it for quite a bit of time, when the moment came down to it, they did not have the material to keep holding on. Here's that moment that I was just talking about moments ago, with zero material, trying to get some shots in and make something happen, but just didn't work out. But don't worry, there's a couple more games left for them today at least, and then lots more opportunities going over the next couple days.
Just 2 more games remaining for the 5 VR winners, and of course our top 6 from the remaining leaderboards to make it through to the semifinals, everyone. Here we have it, our 3rd winners joining Tautai and Hashira's team. It's Saltai and Courier having an incredible run through the low ground right there with that double-digit elimination VR game. But of course, Game 4 and Game 5 are still on the docket, everyone. We have 2 more teams that are going to automatically make their way through, and a good indication of who those teams are going to be, Takada, are the teams that we see currently in our top 10 leaderboard.
Ooh, we have Nigel and Angel in the first place with 101 points, the only duo to break that 100-point threshold today for the NA West. But also taking a look at the cutoff for top 6, which are the 6 duos which will qualify through consistency after the matches conclude today. The cutoff is at 74 points, but it's head-to-head there, as top 10's at 64.
Absolutely, the points are close, right? Like you said, 64 there at the bottom, and then when you go into 11th for Frappi and Nate, it is 62. That is only a 2-point difference there, creeping up into the top 10. But look, so many teams right outside of that bubble, right? There's so many opportunities for these players to step up and qualify, but it really depends on what they do next, right? 2 games remaining, like Kelly mentioned, 2 opportunities to make something big happen, whether it's a VR or climbing the leaderboard. We'll see what these teams can do. But listen, if you're Landjock and Punisher, you're feeling comfortable, right? Despite dropping down 1 spot in the leaderboard, you're still top 3.
And during this part of the show, we like to typically look at our top 10 leaderboard, but I'm glad that we showed 11th through 20th. And honestly, all of the teams that are competing today that had to earn enough series points to make it into the semifinals have that opportunity to grab a VR. Because literally, it could be the team right now that is in 46th place that has not gotten any points that could just do the right thing to be able to grab that VR. So there's still a lot of opportunities, chat.